Welcome back, UB community. My name is Ricardo Santiago. I am your host for What's the Buzz. I apologize for not being able to upload that many episodes lately. I've had a bunch of scheduling issues as well as a lot of updates I had to think over through. So right now, all What's the Buzz episodes will now be on YouTube. Once you go onto the ubpost.org site, you can click onto the What's the Buzz picture and it'll send you right to our YouTube channel that the UB Post has. Now, for my first guest in this new update is the head honcho for the Bob Parsons Veteran Center, located on the third floor of the Student Center. Head honcho, please introduce yourself to the UB community.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Lesh, and I've been the director here at the Bob Parsons Vet Center since November of last year.
Yes, he is the newly appointed director, and he's been doing amazing work with the veterans and non-veterans in the UB community. Can you tell me some of the few recent opportunities a lot of veterans have had thanks to your contributions?
Well, our most recent event was actually just held last week. We had a dinner, an etiquette dinner, in conjunction with the Career Development Office. They reserved several seats for the veterans, and we had 5 or 6 veterans able to show up. They were taught in the proper etiquette in a formal dinner setting, and how to network amongst employers, potential employers in a dinner setting. That was just last week. Also last week we had an event celebrating the Women's History Month. We had a Baltimore District Judge, Haley Weinstein, come and give a talk on the rehabilitative, the Veterans Court that she operates out of Baltimore City.
That is amazing work. I have a question for both of those events. However, I should go back to how you got appointed this position, because a lot of people, as well as the UB community, have veterans in their family and life right now who come here to the Bob Parsons Center, and a lot of people don't even know that we had a former director. So please tell us how you got the job.
Well, it was pretty serendipitous. I had been here in the Maryland area since 2000. I actually retired out of the Navy in Fort Meade, right down the road from here, but I wasn't really familiar with University of Baltimore. It's one of those small universities that not many people hear about. So I found myself on the job market about last summer, and it just so happens that I was looking through all the various job boards, the Indeed and ZipRecruiter and so on and so forth, and this job came open, and it really brought a lot of different aspects to my job search that I was going through. Number one, being a Navy retiree, working with veterans was very important to me. In my previous job, it was at another academic institution, and they had a big program for veterans in terms of getting their degrees, so that was really interesting to me. And also being in the area, I've loved the area for a while now, so it was important to be close to here. I never really got to spend too much time in Baltimore, so I thought that was a draw as well. And then just coming up for the interview, everybody that put me through the interview was actually a long process. It was a whole day. They made me do a presentation in terms of what the Veteran Center would look like in my view. So it was a very exhaustive process, and I was really impressed with the professionalism. So it was a great offer to get when it actually came through.
I'm actually really happy you got the position, because that sounds like a very long and tedious process where a lot of people would just probably just give up. So thank you very much for just continuing on through that process. So first question about the etiquette dinner. You said you had some veterans there. Were you able to actually attend as well?
I was not. It started about 4:30, and that day I had to get out. Throwing myself under the bus here. I had to get out of here a little bit early that day. We had one of our student staff go up and take a couple photographs of it. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to hook up the iPad to my computer yet. So I haven't even looked at the photographs. I'll try to do that tomorrow. Haven't heard any feedback from the vets yet on how it went, but I'm assuming it went pretty well.
Awesome. So, because you said you actually collaborated with some other student office here, how does it work? How do you outreach to another program in the University of Baltimore, being like, hey, I have some veterans who are interested in this. Can we collaborate on this event? How does that work?
Yeah, that that particular event was pretty interesting because I attended a conference back in February, and a couple of the schools at that conference were touting their own etiquette dinners as something they found very successful for their veteran population. So I automatically came back here with the idea of that was something I wanted to try, and it just so happens that the CPDC, Career Professional Development Center, put out an advertisement about a week later that they were actually offering their own etiquette dinner, and the director over there is a certified etiquette professional, so she can put it on herself. So it was just a matter of me going over there and asking, hey, can I join in with you guys and get some veterans into some of the spaces? So it was pretty easy collaboration.
That's awesome. Honestly, I thought there would be a lot more paperwork involved. But
No.
I'm really happy that it wasn't.
And the good part for us was that they were charging $15 for each of the students to participate, but the Bob Parsons Center was able to cover the fee for each of the vet students who attended.
That's great. That's really nice. A lot of the times they won't do that. So, yay. So, if you're a veteran, please come down to the Bob Parsons Center. You're going to have a lot of resources. My second question was for that second event that you mentioned with the,
Judge Weinstein.
Judge Weinstein, about the rehabilitation,
It's basically the Veterans Treatment Court is what I should.
Yes, Veteran Treatment Course. Yes. Can you tell me more about that?
The Veterans Treatment Court is something that kind of started popping up over the country over the last 5 years or so, and Judge Weinstein brought it to Baltimore back in 2015, I believe. And what the essentials of it are basically, if a veteran commits a misdemeanor, they are offered the opportunity, depending on VA and a couple other mitigating factors. They offer the opportunity to go through a mentorship program with a fellow veteran. You know, it can be basically a 90-day to a year-long to even longer program, and they have to meet certain benchmarks along the way. And if they graduate from that program, their record gets expunged for the crime that they committed. And there's certain crimes that obviously has to be a misdemeanor, mm-hmm. and in that misdemeanor field, it can't be like a domestic violence crime, because
that's way more serious.
Well, there's a separate court for it as well. So, so there's certain benchmarks they have to meet. If they graduate, they get a reward, and their record gets expunged. Their conviction is just basically dismissed. They get a probation before judgment. So it's a really awesome opportunity, awesome option for some of the vets out there, and it incorporates fellow veterans as the mentors to those people going through the system. So it's a collaborative effort as well.
It's a really good system from what I just heard, because no one knows a veteran like a veteran.
Exactly.
So if I knew a couple of veterans over in Philadelphia that they've had misdemeanors because they would be fresh off their service and fresh off their deployment too, and they'd get spooked at just this random thing, and they'd run a stop sign or a stoplight because they get scared, or not scared, I'm sorry. They'd just get a little worried and overly cautious, and their training would kick in, and they'd cause some misdemeanors.
Right. And
they would have to go to court, and they didn't have that in Philadelphia. So this program would have been amazing help for a lot of the veterans in Philly.
Yeah, it dovetails with PTSD, drug issues, things like that, where you can actually go through the program and get treatment through the VA, and you're seeing your vet mentor along the way. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things built in to help the program succeed.
That is amazing to hear. Honestly, how would a veteran here right now in the UB community go about that program? Okay, after they cause a misdemeanor, obviously you can't just be like, hey, I want this.
Apparently, from the way the judge explained it, is that as soon as you get booked, the booking officer is instructed to ask if you're a veteran. And then at each step along the way, the intake officer and so on and so forth, they're supposed to be asking that question, so that whoever identifies themselves as a veteran gets routed to the judge, and she can review their applications. It's a voluntary program, so a veteran can theoretically go through each step and say no and not get into the program, or they can refuse for whatever reason. Normally it's because they don't want to actually go through, let's say, a rehabilitation process. They're not ready to do that yet, and that's why they refuse. So it's not a mandatory program, but for those that actually do go through it, it's proving to be a pretty, I think she said they have a 90+% non-recidivism rate, so it's really good.
That's amazing. Honestly, there's no one stubborn than a veteran. Like, honestly, my fiance gets mad at me because I don't go to, I guess, like, the medical or, like, the hospital when I get hurt. And she thinks I'm super stubborn. It's because, like, we just get, not brainwashed, but we just get told, like, don't go to medical. And it's like, cool, I'm not going to go to medical. So I can understand, like, some veterans can be very stubborn when asking for help or surrendering that control and saying, hey, I do need help.
Exactly. And a lot of times you don't realize that asking or getting help is not necessarily a reflection on your own strength, on your own convictions. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs it along the way, and this program was put in place to hopefully provide that help. So the word is getting out there. I hope over the next couple of years, once other veterans see how successful it is, they won't have a problem coming forward and going through it themselves.
Oh, I really do appreciate it. I really want to see this program evolve over time because it sounds like an amazing program. Would they, in your opinion, would they stretch out to, like, other courts, like domestic abuse or something like that? Or do you think it's right now it should stay where it's at just to see how far it can go?
Yeah, I think they're going to keep it in this particular lane, especially because a lot of the cases do involve substance abuse. And so there's still the question of, okay, we've got a great program here in terms of getting these vets support, but there's still the issue of how are they treated for their substance abuse. Mm-hmm. Someone can't get through a substance abuse issue in 30, 60, 90 days. It's an ongoing process, so it's something they've been working on, making sure you have those resources for as long as you need it. I think that's where their resources are focused. Number two, it's getting these vets jobs after they get through the program, because if you don't have a job on the other side, that's how you find out, that's how you get involved in going back out there and the recidivism creeps in. So I think if they have enough with those two issues to focus on where they're not going to try to expand it in the near future.
Understood, because my father is a AA and NA anonymous person. I don't know how to actually fully describe that, but he goes to meetings and he has to go before, like, he actually falls into his relapses sometimes.
Right.
So what makes this program different from going to an NA or AA meeting for substance abuse? Do you think it's because of the veteran background to help out?
Well, I think so. I think number one, they try to get him to go through a VA-sponsored training. So I don't know how that differs from NA or AA, but it's usually fully funded through the VA, so it's a very stable program. And yeah, number two, I think just the fact that on the side they can always deal with someone that's been through some of the same issues in a fellow veteran. You might not get that in an AA meeting or an NA program. That's a constant in the program. They try to pair up the mentors from the beginning to the end. So the genesis of the program goes, I can't remember the story exactly, but one particular veteran in one court was having a very tough time, and the judge had to kick him out of the courtroom. Oh. And the bailiff in that particular court was a veteran, and the judge asked the bailiff to go out and talk to the defendant, fellow vet to fellow vet, and he did. And when they came back into the court, it was a totally different scene. The vet kind of bonded with the bailiff. He understood what his predicament was. He understood what the consequences were, what the situation was, and from that idea, the judge got, or from that situation, the judge got the idea that, hey, this could be a mentorship program. So that's the key connection in the program, is that mentorship connection.
Well, it's good to know when bad things happen, good things can come out of it.
Yep.
So, now that we talked a little about those two events and who you are and how this center has helped a lot, tell me about these upcoming events that you have planned. Give us some spoilers, if you would, for the veterans listening in, trying to make sure they don't miss out on anything.
Some spoilers? Okay. Well, we are going to bring back the Warrior Canine Connection for finals.
Oh, yes.
So stand by for that. We'll have...
that puppy was needed.
We'll have Rick and his dog back out here for finals. Also for finals, we're going to do the Fuel for Finals again, where anybody in the vet family can come up to the center, grab something for finals to hopefully get them through the week or the 2 weeks if it's a law school student. So be on the lookout for that. For as far as campus-wide, I'm in the initial stages of throwing things together for an Armed Forces type of day of celebration. Armed Forces is after finals this week, so in order to get it in, I got to get it in early May. I'm working on getting the various services to commit to it, so hopefully out on Gordon Plaza here in early May, we'll have an Armed Forces Day celebration. Stand by for that, and that'll be open to the whole campus. We'll have a flag raising as we normally do. Maybe participation by the the ROTC programs, and some things for the various different foods for everybody to enjoy. So stay on the lookout for that. And for the veterans in particular, we're going to do a graduation celebration dinner to celebrate the spring 2018 graduates as well, right before graduation.
And that's just for the ones who are actually graduating this spring, correct?
Correct. Hopefully that'll be the start of a tradition, and every vet from here on out will get to go through it once they graduate.
Yes, so if you're not graduating this semester, you might be graduating next semester, the semester after that. So just keep in touch. Don't worry, your time will come. Just stick to the pen and paper, and you'll be there.
Sorry for the ones that we've already missed. If you want to get involved in that, let me know, and we'll see if we can work it out.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for letting me find out about all these amazing resources, because when you first started, I didn't know that you guys had free swag, and you guys gave me a backpack, a shirt, a hat. I was very excited. It was raining that day when you gave me that hat, so I very much appreciate that.
That's right. Well, and expect more on the way, because now with the new UB logo, we're going to have to go back to our shirts, our backpacks, and whatever, and probably
do the redesign.
So we'll have to come out with some new stuff here in the next couple months.
Well, I really do like the logo that you had. I do enjoy the new logo that you guys have for the backpack. The nice digitalized eagle. I thought that was really cool.
So Mr. Parsons likes that too, so that's not something we'll get rid of anytime soon.
Awesome.
We'll just combine that with the new UB logo, which we have to put on all our stuff. So
about the new logo that came out, a lot of people are like on and off about it. I know I'm a little half on it. It looks nice. It does look a little better than what we had before, but it still doesn't look like it was what it was hyped to be. In your opinion, do you think it could have been better, or are you happy with what we got?
Well, I like the emphasis on Baltimore. I think that was lacking with the previous logo. So I'm happy with that. I think that will really help. That'll help expand our recognition into even the close areas that aren't familiar with the UB logo itself. So I think that'll be an important step in the right direction to expanding our marketing.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy that when you actually Google UB, the University of Buffalo comes up, and it's just really awkward. Like, no, I meant the University of Baltimore. Yeah. So hopefully this does help with our actual brand and like helps students search for University of Baltimore better. Do you have any ideas of your own that could help with recruiting to veterans? So like, hey, this is University of Baltimore. This is great. We have amazing veteran outreach program. You should definitely come. Do you have any ideas for like outreaching?
Well, yeah, one thing we haven't done, at least aren't currently doing, I don't know how long it's been since we've done it, is we have not reached out to the two biggest bases here in the area. If you go to the education office on Fort Meade, you won't find anything about the University of Baltimore. So that's definitely a weakness. Same with Aberdeen. So we're working on filling that gap. We just about a month ago we shot some pictures of the vet center because we hadn't had any new pictures of the new center. So we're going to put those in new marketing campaign and get those brochures out to the various bases. So at least veterans who are transitioning out of the military will know that the University of Baltimore exists either right up or right down the road from those bases.
That is going to be amazingly helpful for those veterans, because I know when I was first getting out of the military, there wasn't really that much of the education background pushed during my separation transition program that they had for the Marine Corps.
Right.
They said to use my GI Bill, but they didn't throw out potential colleges near the state or out of state or located within my state. It was just signing these papers and go on your way, which is really messed up because the military should be there to help you. And it's good to see the veteran program out trying to outreach more and more. So honestly, I'm one of the veterans that does come here to this office all the time. You guys have awesome snacks for me to enjoy. Let me start off by saying that thank you so much for always having ramen or Pop-Tarts here, because I need them when I'm rushing back and forth through my classes and I need that sugar rush. And secondly, having that outreach at those actual bases will help a lot of military members who are transitioning out. I don't know how it works for other branches because I was in the Marine Corps.
Right.
But if there was just one or two people from, I guess, Pennsylvania or someone with the education center had pamphlets of different schools available, or the top 10 military friendly schools, that magazine, that would have been helpful, very helpful.
Yeah, I think there's so many people, not only soldiers and service members, but so many high school students around this area that just aren't aware of the great benefits that University of Baltimore offers in terms of just, programs, tuition, location. If we can get that word out there just at the bases alone, that'll open up a lot of doors to potential recruits. So we're really looking forward to doing that.
Well, if you have any need or help, the UB Post would automatically be there to help support with either photographs or an article about this, because that sounds an amazing time to do for me to write about. And I would actually enjoy participating as well as a veteran from the Bob Parsons Center to help represent and help out.
Nice.
Because
I took you up on that.
This center is amazing. How did Bob Parson actually get involved with this? I don't really know the full story about this center.
Well,
is it a long story?
No, it's not a long story. It's just so Mr. Parsons was a graduate of UB back in the early 70s. He joined the Marines, went to Vietnam, came back. They gave him the GI Bill and said, here, you can go to school. He was originally from this area, so he started going to UB. He graduated. He credits being a Marine and being a UB graduate to nearly everything that he's accomplished in life, leading to his, his largesse, so to speak. And when he got to the point where he said, okay, I've done pretty much what I want to do in business, how can I give back? And he thought of the University of Baltimore and merged it with the veteran issue. So he decided this was about the time, about 5 years or so after the rollout of the 9/11 bill. So veterans were going to college at, probably record numbers since World War II. He decided that, I'm going to give back to the university and help veterans at the same time. I'm going to open a vet center at the University of Baltimore, and at the same time, he also decided to open give a grant to the law school so that they can establish the law school advocacy clinic. And what they do there is they use the law students to help veterans fight or get upgrades in their discharges. So if service member was discharged other than honorable discharge, and he feels he has a case to get that upgraded, he can take that to the advocacy clinic, and they will work on the paperwork to submit that request.
So hopefully get them to honorable or general, right?
Exactly.
That sounds amazing.
Exactly.
I didn't know they did that at the Law Center.
Yep.
Look at them in their fancy building. That's awesome.
Right. So he came up with he's funded the money, or he's given University of Baltimore the money to fund both of those programs, the Vet Center and the Advocacy Center, the Advocacy Clinic.
That is amazing. Good man there. I'm really happy because this center is amazing. Honestly, as a veteran, I feel that this place is a lifeline. Because I just don't see myself here. I see a lot of other veterans coming and going, sitting down in the little lobby that you have over here, relaxing. We talk, we relax, we can vent because we're just among other veterans. And it's a good time to be here in this office. I mean, this office is also very stacked. Could you tell me about the amazing amenities here in this office?
Well, yeah,
right? Amenities? Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's a great office space, very large compared to many of the other offices around here. So we have a reception area, we have a computer room with 6 dedicated workstations, we have 2 offices, and we're staffed by work-study students, including VA work-study students. So there's always someone here to greet you and to greet new members. We have a lounge area with a TV, a couch, a massage chair. So there's a place to come in and get some rest in between courses, just to sit back and relax if you're between your job and a course or something like that. And we also have a conference room with a table and a TV as well, where you can work on group presentations or just come in and study on your own in there. So there's plenty of space. There's plenty of space for new students to come up. We're not full yet, so if you haven't been to the center yet, please come on up and check it out. You're always welcome, and it's a great place to be around other vets.
It really is, and I just checked that you guys have like this nice little bookcase. You guys have a lot of good resource magazines. Like you have Writer's Chronicle over there. You have the VA Times, or is it Military Times? I can't remember which one it was, but it's over there. And it's really awesome that you guys have those magazines out, because I'm a writer and I like to have at least as much resources as possible, because being a writer doesn't mean you're going to be stacked with cash in the future. So you always have to look for like a job or freelance or like some scholarships or some grants, and like that magazine, Writer's Chronicle, has a lot of resources in just those pages. So I very much appreciate that you guys always have something stacked here for resources, whether it's just a place to sleep, a place to just relax, a place to do homework, a place to just talk and vent. It's an amazing center, and we as a UB community appreciate this center.
Well, that's awesome, and I'll give you some I don't want to call it breaking news, but some insight as to what we're doing in the future. This will really pertain to you, Ricky, and some of our other vets who I know are in the writing program. Is that we're trying to get a book club started here at the campus, and eventually partner with the Maryland. I can't remember now. The Maryland chapter for humanities, I believe. The Maryland chapter for the book, which is right down Chase Avenue. Hopefully, have a partnership with them. And one of the reasons I want to do that is because, like I said, I know we have several vets in the writing program. I think that'll give them a good outlet in terms of meeting people, getting resources, understanding the writing genre, the writing connection here in Maryland, and a vehicle to put out their own work. So we're hoping to launch that in the summer, going into next fall. So stand by for some more details on that.
I cannot wait, because I really would like to go into that program. Technically two last things. I like to end these podcasts with some information for the UB community, while also engaging in like something for the other actual guest. So I have 2 questions for you. First, what do you feel is the most fun here in the University of Baltimore? Like, as if you were a student, where would you go for the most fun? Here on campus. Yeah, very difficult question, I know.
Wow, that's the most fun. Well, I mean, my whole life was a veteran, so I'd be here at the vet center.
Awesome.
I know these are my people. This is where I know I could get the work done. I know I'd have the most support, so this is probably where I'd be. If I was a student, I'd be here at the vet center.
That's amazing to hear. And second question and last, because I always like to have this for the actual listeners. Okay, continue on from here. Sorry about that. I'd like to end this one last question. I want to engage more of our listeners, veterans, as well as normal UB community, to go out and try and find new things about Baltimore. Whether it's just going down to Fells Point or going up to Hamden, checking out the Cinebistro. Because you said it yourself, like you haven't really engaged in the Baltimore City area since you actually started here. So where have you been recently within Baltimore City or Baltimore County that was really fun and you think a lot of students should go out and see or check out?
Well, for me, I was just, when I was reaching out to establish this book club connection, I just walked down Charles Street to the Washington Square, down there, and that was a part of Baltimore that I hadn't been to before. So just walking down there, seeing the different cafes, restaurants, down to the square, and seeing the actual cultural shops and stores, as well as, I don't know if there were any museums, so to speak, but the humanities club down there was pretty eye-opening to me, because a lot of times I drive through Baltimore and don't see that part of the city. So just getting out and experience the city, especially around Baltimore on foot, is really nice to do. You don't have to drive all over the city. And now that
it's finally spring, it's not going to be so cold.
Exactly. Get out there, take advantage of the weather, walk around the neighborhood, and just to enjoy what's there. Get a lunch, go to a show, catch some music at night, go watch a basketball game or a baseball game. There's plenty to do here in the city.
Well, I very much appreciate that answer, and I very much appreciate your time here on What's the Buzz. And I can't wait to have you on future podcasts, because it's a lot of fun talking to you about upcoming updates and like how the semesters have been going. And I'm pretty sure you have something for our finals and midterms for next semester that you have planned something, which I can't wait to listen to. And I cannot wait to see the new brand that you have to do thanks to the new brand change.
Right.
So thank you very much for being on the podcast. And UB community, please stand by for our next podcast. I'm sorry about those other ones. From now on, the podcast will be on the YouTube channel. So please stay tuned for that. And thank you again for being my guest.
No problem, Ricky. Anytime.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
So UB community, this is Ricardo Santiago signing off on What's the Buzz. Please stay tuned on our next episode, because it's going to be a lot of fun.